Welcome back, everyone, to the Comic Com podcast. We're here as usual. It's myself and my partner in crime, Justin, Nemesis Prime.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, Zach. Good to see you tonight.
Yeah, man. So what? This is like our third podcast now. First two were great. I had a lot of fun, and I'm hoping we're kind of working out the kinks and getting a little smoother and more, just relaxed here. How you feeling?
Yeah, man, definitely. A lot of support from everybody, and thanks for everybody if you're checking us out on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts. Again, if you are on the iTunes, make sure you leave us a 5-star review and give us a good, comments in there, as well as Spotify and even on our Instagram.
Yeah, so we're going to start off first with community messages. We're going to get into some of the emails and voice messages that have been sent. And honestly, when we were kind of talking just a minute ago about order of events for this episode, part of me wanted to do community messages at the end because it feels like it's like the dessert. It's like the best part. It's kind of the thing I have the most fun with. But it also, like we were saying, it's a good start. And
we definitely want to get the community involved, and that's the best part about this.
Yeah, I love the messages we're getting, man. I love some people are putting a lot of thought, and we actually have a couple big time questions. I feel like some very serious thought questions here, and then some are just funny ones, like Leroy Jenkins from last week. But send them all in. I mean, like we said, we want to hear it. If you got some funny stuff, you got some serious stuff, that's what we want to hear. So the first one we got is going to be from our friend, the amazing Murfinator, Mike, and let's listen to it now.
All right. Hey, guys, what's going on? It's Mike. So my question for you this week is, if you're at a con and both Rosario Dawson and Ashley Eckstein were going to be there, and you only had $300 to get one of their signatures and to submit it to CGC, and your comic is Clone Wars #1. It's kind of a generic cover. Which one are you going to get? Ashley Eckstein, the voice from the Clone Wars, or the new bitch in town, Rosario Dawson, who's physically playing her? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
The new bitch in town.
Yeah, like that.
Well, this seems like a Justin question. So let's kick it off to you. You go first.
All right, man. So yeah, Mike, thank you so much for that question. And it's definitely a great question to answer. Man, it's tough. It is absolutely tough. I would take my Clone Wars one, and I would most likely get Ashley to sign it. She's been doing it the longest. I think that's great fan service. Everybody, knows her. I think long term, she will always be Ahsoka Tano to everybody. And I just read an article the other day that Rosario Dawson, worked on listening to Ashley's voice and, basically just said how much it is to be able to play the character. But at a convention, if that's the money that I have for $300, slabbed signature series, hopefully coming back at 9.8, I'm going with Ashley Eckstein. What about you, Zach?
Don't get me wrong. I love the Clone Wars, and I thought Ashley Eckstein was amazing. Ahsoka Tano, definitely the highlight of the Clone Wars, the breakout star. But I'm going with that new bitch in town, man. I'm going with Rosario Dawson. And she's just, and I think I want it. Not to say Ashley Eckstein is not a good-looking woman, but I want to go in person and meet Rosario Dawson and, spit a little game, see what happens. I'm going to, try my hand there. But, what do you say, $300 or $600?
$300.
Is that how much it costs?
Nah. I mean, maybe for Rosario now, but I think for Ashley, she's probably like 100. But, you figure, let's just call it 100 plus, signature series and all the stuff through the grading service. So, but, I think that's whatever the price. But if you only had one to choose, I chose Ashley, you choose Rosario, which is nice.
Yeah, look at us. We're just playing it safe. We don't want to piss anyone off. Right?
Exactly.
So you actually have her signature on some stuff, though, don't you?
No, I was really upset. One year I got a sketch done by Livio Ramondelli. He did on the front cover of a Darth Vader blank. It was Ahsoka Tano, and on the back it's Darth Vader. And Ashley was actually at New York Comic Con that year at her booth for her clothing company. And every time I tried to walk by with the book with CGC, she was never there. So eventually I just submitted it. But I did at some point get to talk with her this is way before. This was obviously in between that era where Clone Wars wasn't even on, so she wasn't like totally huge, where she was just probably bombarded with people. So I got to walk up to her, had a nice conversation. I actually have a picture with her. It's on my Facebook.
Yeah,
under one of my New York Comic Con albums. So, but yeah, she's a really sweet girl, and she's done a bunch of voices. So, really cool. So
nice. Well, yeah, like Justin said, thanks, Mike, for that message. So we got another one. Let's go into our next voice message.
Mm-hmm. Hi, this is Sid with Six Face Comics. I got a question for you guys. You guys think the vigilante archetype has played itself out in comic books, or that it still has room to grow?
Appreciate that, Sid, for the question you sent in there. So this is a tough one. This is the one I was kind of talking about. This is deep. Vigilantes. So my opinion on vigilantes in comics really is there aren't many like strict vigilante characters left anymore. I think Punisher is definitely one, and we kind of talked about some Punisher issues last week. I would say Daredevil is still kind of a vigilante, and maybe Spider-Man as well. Batman obviously is, when you think of vigilantes, that's kind of like your number one go-to. But once you kind of join a team, I feel like Justice League or the Avengers or something like that, in my opinion, you're no longer a vigilante. Like you take it out of the running a little bit. So Heroes for Hire, bro, you're getting paid. You ain't a vigilante. So I don't know. I feel like, especially with Marvel is a huge believer in the anti-hero. They want to always turn their villains into good guys. They got guys like Venom who start off villains, get hot, and then they turn them good. So I don't know about Marvel. I think DC does a better job in that realm. I'd say Red Hood's still a vigilante.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
I totally agree with you. Being a big Batman fan, I definitely don't think he's a vigilante anymore. The fact that for the latter half of the 2000s, he's pretty much been working with the GCPD. I mean, once you start kind of working with the cops, like, how are you really part of a vigilante?
Right.
In that mind. And absolutely, like you said, that would have been that was exactly where I was going to go with Red Hood. He went from being a sidekick to being a crime boss to, having his own, what is he up to, maybe 3 or 4 series now. But, the name of the book for him is Red Hood the Outlaw, because he no longer has his team, but even previously it was Red Hood and the Outlaws. So,
right.
Yeah, he is a vigilante. Do I think it's, dead and gone? No, because you got it right there. Red Hood is an absolute vigilante in his own right. He is, if you read the current run, he's got the Penguins Iceberg Lounge he runs, and as well as just taking out bad guys. So he doesn't work with the cops. He lives and plays by his own rules. So
yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously we get a lot of hate here, and people be like, "Oh, what about this guy? What about that guy?" Moon Knight. He's been like out of the comics for a little bit. I'm sure we're going to see him a little bit more coming up this year. Moon Knight's definitely a vigilante. Nightwing kind of does his vigilante thing as well when he's in Bloodhaven, but like I said, I mean, he's back and forth on the Titans and whatnot. So it's hard to say, in my opinion, on vigilantes. I don't know, man. And if we're going like real life, real scenarios, and we all know that real life reflects its way into comics as always, with the current climate we got going on, I'm not sure vigilante is really what the comic book community wants to be pushing right now. Like with all the drama and the unrest we have in the country, I don't know. It's tough. Like you said, I agree with you. I think new characters coming out will play those archetypes of, and might start off as a vigilante, and then of course get wrapped up, if they're popular enough, in a team scenario.
Yeah, you have from the most recent Batman run, you have that character Clown Hunter. He's
right. Yeah.
he's definitely a vigilante. He, absolutely hates Joker and hates the clowns because of what they did to his parents. So, once this future state ends and Batman returns back to the normal numbering, hopefully, we'll still see him and what his storyline is and continuing arc. So
actually, you want to talk about vigilantes, all of future state is pretty much all vigilante. All those guys operating in Gotham, like against the magistrate and all those, that is definitely a hard line for vigilante justice right there for sure. So I mean, it's a classic archetype for comics. It probably will never go away, but yeah, I mean, who would you say, if you can think, I mean, and besides Red Hood, are there any characters that we mentioned right now? Can you think of one lasting vigilante archetype character out there?
No, man. It's, I think on the DC side, it really is Red Hood. And on the Marvel side, it's, if you were to name anybody, it's the Punisher.
The Punisher, yeah.
I don't even think anybody in DC really is, someone who's not on a team. And, and I'm sure maybe someone who's listening to us, maybe they can help us out with that in the comments, once we post this. So, guys, what do you guys think? Let us know. Who would you think is the vigilante either on the DC or the Marvel side that, we either can't come up with or maybe we didn't think of?
Yeah, that's a good question. Appreciate that, Sid. So the next question we got is email from Hunter Jones here. He said, "What's up, guys? I really have enjoyed the podcast. You guys are doing a great job." Well, I really appreciate that, man. Question is about what you think we'll be talking about in December of 2021. In 2020, we saw TMNT, Star Wars, Miles Morales, Donny Cates, and Something is Killing the Children. At least that's what I heard the most about. What's your money on for 5 standout comic book stuff in 2021? Why don't you go first, man?
All right. So, I don't think we want to sit here and have both of us do 5 apiece. So, right. I think we kind of came up with 5 total. I'll start off with one of them, and it's something that you'll hear later on in this episode. I think the newest Image series that just came out, Haha, from W. Maxwell Price, who is the guy who did Ice Cream Man. If you guys missed out on those first few issues or even issue 1, you know what it was going for. You still know what it is going for. It was supposed to be on Quibi. Unfortunately, that, got canned, but it's still a very pricey book. And this is the same thing, get it now while you can, because in say, 6 months, 8 months, when they're maybe at issue 8, 7, 8, 9, wherever, and they're making multiple printings of this, just like Something is Killing the Children, you're going to want to get that first issue because you don't want to be missing out on it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I didn't get that book. I need to check that one out myself. So I think also another one is going to be the same as this year. I think Donny Cates is going to still stay on our radar in December 2021. We know that his last issue of Venom, issue number 200, is dropping, I think it's around April. And he's already kind of hinted that he's got another project on the way. He's also doing crossover as well, which is still gaining a lot of speed and popularity. So I think Donny Cates is still going to be in our running at the end of 2021. I mean, say what you will about the guy. He kind of has had his finger on the pulse of comics for the past 2 or 3 years now. I mean, he's doing it and he's doing it well. So
definitely. I agree on that. And, for our third answer, this one's, probably a little bit out of my realm, but I really think everybody should be picking this book up because at some point this year, you're going to be sad that you didn't. And I think it's in Humans number 5, which is the first appearance of Yelena Belova. At some point in 2021, we're going to get Black Widow, the movie, right? It's going to come out. Everybody's either going to love it, hate it, but that she's going to be the next Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And you're going to be sad at the end of 2021 when the 9.8s are going for, I'm just going to say, if it's going close to, $700-800 when you could buy a 9.8 now for maybe $300. I found 2 Raws recently under $100 in near mint condition. So if you can find that book now is the time to buy it, because I think by the end of the year, once, kind of COVID runs its course and they start talking about what's the next movies and she starts appearing, just like Scarlet Witch was in a multiple of movies before she got her big one. You never know, man. What about you, Zach? What's number 4?
So to kind of stick with the Marvel theme, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit before in one of the questions, I think Moon Knight. I think we're going to see something on Moon Knight. We know that Marvel and Marvel Cinematic work hand in hand. So like you said, Moon Knight hasn't been around, hasn't had a solo title in a while. We recently saw him in the Avengers storyline, and he was there for about 5 or 6 issues, the Jason Aaron storyline here. But I think we're going to see a Moon Knight solo issue come to prep people and get people ready and familiar with the character. And I don't mean like the big readers like us. Like, we all know Moon Knight. But Marvel Cinematic Universe is also playing to the new readers. So they need to reintroduce this character, start him from the beginning, be on his own, stand alone. And honestly, it's probably going to give you a good opinion on, or a good eyesight into, what characters will show up in his television show as well, because those will probably be the characters they highlight. So I think we're going to get some Moon Knight stuff. I really hope so. We haven't had a good solo series for a while. Personally, wasn't a big fan of I believe it was the Bendis run and the Remender run. I wasn't really feeling it. So I'm ready for a good Moon Knight.
Definitely. And to round out our 5 picks for the end of what we'll be talking about at the end of 2021, it's Star Wars, guys. Star Wars High Republic is what you should be buying now. It is super hot. We're only on issue 1 for the comic series. We're 1 novel in, but everything that's coming out is going to be hot. Every issue is going to have a first appearance of some character, which is going to be a long-term hold. And if you didn't get issue 1 now, and at the end of 2021, when they're 12 issues deep, or I don't know if they're going to do it bi-monthly, but you figure 12 issues deep by the end of December, and that issue 1 now that's selling between $15 and $30, when it's up to $100 raw, you're going to be sad that you didn't pick it up in January when Justin and Zach told you about it.
And I'll be honest with you, we will be talking about Star Wars in December because that's when Book of Boba Fett drops. So all the Star Wars stuff is not going anywhere. We're probably going to be talking about Star Wars for a long time, especially if Justin has anything to say about it. So, be prepared. If you hate Star Wars, you're in for a rough couple of years, I think. So,
So what do we got next?
So those were our questions. Once again, really appreciate all the community feedback, the voice messages. As you guys as you guys hear, we will play your voice messages. So please send them in. We'll take emails as well if you can't do the voice messages. But send us whatever you got: questions, comments, funny things. We want it all. So once again, thank you very much for the people who sent those questions in.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the email is thecomicconpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on our Instagram at the Comic Con Podcast. Just send us a direct message as well.
Yeah, and I think you also set up a link tree there too, which I think directs everyone to where they need to go. So
absolutely.
So next up, we kind of want to talk about all things cinematic universe. So we're going to touch on a few different topics here, information, and things that came out, news, and TV, movies, and comics. I mean, that's what we're here. We're here to talk about comics. So let's see. First up, we're going to talk about some Marvel news. So we got a little article here from our friends over at geekositymag.com. This is our friend Mikey Sutton, who had a little bit of info about Ghost Rider returning to the MCU. So I'm not going to read the article. You guys definitely need to go check it out. His website is, like I said, geekositymag.com. Great website, lots of information, lots of scoops, inside stuff. So check it out. But in this one, he's telling us that Ghost Rider is definitely planning on having a return to the MCU. But this time it's going to stay a little bit more real to the origin of Ghost Rider. We're really talking about being tied to Mephisto rather than, Satan as it was in some of the other movies and all that stuff. We also know that there's a lot of hype and a lot of belief that Mephisto might be behind some of the situation going on in WandaVision, and he's a big-time Marvel character that hasn't showed up yet. So this all kind of lends credence to the fact that Mephisto might be playing a big role moving forward in the Marvel Universe. So personally, I'm a massive Ghost Rider fan. I got all the Ghost Rider first appearances. I want more Ghost Rider. And, sometimes if I'm bored, I like to watch me a little Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. It's kind of horrible, but, I love Ghost Rider. So I want to see it come back. I was a big Robbie Reyes fan in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I want Johnny Blaze. I would even like to see Danny Ketch. That's what I want to see. So we'll see, man.
Yeah, and I would definitely like to see just the Mephisto thing, because I feel like that's the one thing that, and I feel like we're still early in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We were grounded on Earth. They went to space with the Guardian stuff and more of Thor, Ragnarok. They said they're going cosmic, but they really haven't touched yet on that horror stuff. Yes, they put out Hellstrom, but unfortunately that only went one season, and it is what it is. But getting into that horror and underworld,
supernatural stuff.
Yes, exactly. So that's really where the next move needs to be, whether it's on the small screen or the big screen. I think that's where you will find Mephisto.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in, obviously everyone loves the MCU, and the way they set it up, moving from Avengers to Thanos to all that was great. You know what I mean? And the tie-in or the standalone movies, all the joint movies. But we have so many characters now. I don't need every movie to be a, bringing back every character. I would like to see it break up into those genres that you just said. here's our cosmic characters, here's our earthbound characters, here's our supernatural characters, and then those characters can interweave and cameo and do whatever. But I mean, honestly, we're kind of crazy if we're looking 10 years down the line again and we're planning on 40 characters from all the MCU movies being in a movie. Like, it's just, you're never going to get enough screen time. So I'd like to see it broke up into these little genres.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
So what do we got next?
I'm going to take over the opposite side of the cinematic universe, and we have finally coming in 2021 the Snyder Cut. And I'll read this off of as well, Mikey Sutton's Geekosity mag.com page. So the Snyder Cut no longer will be released in McNugget pieces. Instead, it's going to be directed as a 4-hour Big Mac on HBO Max. This is no mere rumor. Director Zack Snyder made the announcement himself in answering to fans' questions on his Vero account. So, everybody said, oh, it's going to be broken up to early people thought it was going to be broken up to about 10 things. It was going to be like a half hour, right? A half hour slots. Mm-hmm. Then now it's 4 parts. Now he says it's going to be a 4-hour movie. So, how I feel on a 4-hour movie, I've sat through all the Lord of the Rings extendeds. Lord of the Rings of Return of the King clocks in at 4 hours and 11 minutes. Sat through it in the theaters. I will still sit here in my home and watch it. But you know what? Of course, you can get up and pause it, because if you watch it on HBO Max, yeah, that's it. All you got to do is pause it. If you go to the theaters, just don't drink anything and sit there for 4 hours and enjoy Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Right. I mean, like, I don't know, dude. It's like people just find shit to complain about, like, oh no. Like, first off, they're like, we want the Snyder Cut. We want the Snyder Cut. Oh, it's 4 hours long. Oh, I don't want it. It's too long. Like, yeah, just, you're watching it at home. Like you said, like, watch an hour. You've seen the movie before. You're not going to be surprised. So pause, watch 2 hours one day, watch 2 hours the next day. Or if you want to, bro, watch it in 30-minute increments. Do what you want to do. Like, no one's stopping you right now. Be happy you're seeing it on your house and you don't have to go to the movie theater, So awesome. I make it 5 hours, bro. I don't care. Like, I want more, because I wasn't a massive hater of Justice League, but it definitely needed more. So give me more.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for it to come out. It's from the one trailer that they've shown, or 2 teaser trailers that they've shown, and screenshots that we've seen on, him posting it. It's going to be awesome. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a one and done, and we don't know what's going on with the DC universe, but I'm excited, and it may even give my Brave and the Bold 30 a bump, may give my first Dark Side a bump. You never know.
Yeah, man. You just can't, you can't please the comic book community. You know what I mean? Like, they want something, and then they don't want it, and then they're unhappy about that. There's going to
be haters at the end. People are going to watch it. They're going to be like, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be, or
it's still garbage.
Like, what did you think it was going to be? You got it. You wanted Snyder's version. You got Snyder's version. Like, I'm sure it's better than Whedon's additional stuff. Come on.
Right. Yeah, man. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. Do we have a release date on that?
Right now, it's coming in sometime in March.
Okay.
That's when they say it's going to stream and be in the movie theaters. As far as a date, there's no official time, but I mean, with the fact that they spent about $70 million to, add everything in, get everybody back, do these extra scenes and extra filming, I think it'll be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, and I forgot to mention this as well. If you want more information on the Ghost Rider news, check out our boy TiVo over on Lords of the Long Box on YouTube. He kind of goes a little bit more in depth to the Mikey Sutton Ghost Rider news, so he puts up a good video. Definitely a good friend of ours, so check that out as well if you want a little bit more. So, What else? We got any more cinematic news?
I think we have some information possibly about with the streaming service Black Widow. We can absolutely talk about it just kind of was rumored this week that Black Widow may be heading to the Disney Plus streaming service instead of getting a release. So, what do you think? Because are we going to have to deal with the Disney Premium, like what they did with Mulan, where you pay a little bit more, it's there for 30 days, and then eventually at some point it gets to, regular Disney Plus members? Or, I think at this point, I feel like, here's my thought on it. I feel like it's just like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was supposed to come out in, it was supposed to be one of those early summer movies, April. Right. And then it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back. So everybody's thoughts and, they want it. It fizzled out. And I feel like that's Black Widow. Like everybody was hyped, man. You saw that trailer. Did you like Taskmaster? Yes or no? You saw another trailer. You're like, all right, I'm in it. And now it's just like, for everybody, it's in limbo. So it's either gonna be a hit or miss at this point. Like, just put it out. It's done. It's been done.
So I see it as like, I think all those things you brought up are great questions, and I know you're a DC guy, so I hope this doesn't piss you off, but I also envision it as Marvel is like the upper echelon of society, and DC is kind of like your upper middle class as well. So Marvel knows, and Disney, I guess is what I should say, Disney knows that, hey, we can charge $30 because Marvel Cinematic Universe is top of the line, grade A+ material. The DCEU, well, we only really had like one or two decent movies there.
Whoa, this podcast is over.
I'm saying like fan appreciative ones, and Wonder Woman was one of them, So Disney definitely would put it out and could do the Mulan route, and people will pay for it. I mean, it's going to happen. It will definitely get paid for. Now, will they receive backlash from being like, oh, you guys charge us for this? HBO Max didn't charge for Wonder Woman. They definitely could. And it could create a little bit of, animosity towards the product. Do I think it will have a negative effect long-term? No, but I agree with you though. I do think Black Widow is going to suffer from the same thing that Wonder Woman suffered from, and that is time. Everyone's like annoyed by this, the COVID stuff, the waiting, you've been dragging this out. I think that really hurt Wonder Woman too, because it was like, oh, you pushed it back. And they talked about releasing it, right? Like in September on HBO Max and stuff, but they tried to wait out COVID. So it's almost like it creates more hype and puts more expectations on it. And then when it comes out, you're like, yo, motherfucker, I waited this long for this shit. Like we all know Black Widow, it's a prequel movie. What is it really going to show us, And
especially for the people who are like investors and speculators, as far as the comic book end of it, I was someone who had multiple copies of that Wonder Woman 7 from the George Perez run. I sold them well before COVID because I was just like this, I had them in like 9.4s, 9.6s, some 9.8s. And I sold them early. I said, listen, buy it now while it's cheap because, when the movie comes out, it's going to blow up. And, unfortunately, I'm glad I got rid of them when I did because I saw what 9.8s were going for. I was selling for the price of 9.8s. I was selling 9.6s for like just under. So, I made out at the time. I'm glad I got rid of all the copies that I had. Obviously, I kept one for myself, but that's what it is. It's all about timing. And I feel like it's the same thing. Like all these people that were, buying up first appearance of Black Widow and Taskmaster. You remember Taskmaster was like a hot book. Oh yeah. And now it's just like,
yeah, you see it like on Instagram, it's fizzled a little bit. Yeah. And even in people's auctions, it was like, it reached that point and everyone's kind of like, I don't know now. So,
agree. 100% agree.
Yeah. I think too, honestly, WandaVision showing up, we now know we're in the next phase of Marvel. Right. And so this dragging out of Black Widow, which we know isn't moving forward the phases, it just seems like you're stunting the growth, so to speak, of the MCU at this point. Like drop it on Disney Plus, put it out. Let's get past it. Let's move on to the next movie, which I believe is what Eternals, I think, which should be the next cinematic Marvel movie. Push that one up. Give it, if you can, give it Black Widow spot and drop that shit on Disney Plus, man. Like it's been a long time since we've gotten a Marvel movie. So
yeah, absolutely. And sticking with and we'll stick with the Marvel stuff, WandaVision. So we're at episode 1 and 2 came out last week. If you guys haven't seen it, please skip over this part. We'll briefly talk about our thoughts on it. Zach, do you want to go first on, what you thought of the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, or you want me to take this one a little bit?
Yeah, I'll go. And then, definitely want to hear your thoughts too. So like Justin said, this is just episodes 1 and 2. We know this is going to drop Friday morning. So some of you may have stayed up till midnight and watched episode 3, but we don't want to spoil that stuff. So, God, WandaVision, honestly, what spoilers could you really give in episodes 1 and 2? Like, don't get me wrong. Like I liked it. It was, well, okay. I don't know if liked it is the right word.
You're too nice.
I know. I have mixed feelings here. Like I was really excited for it and it's getting so much praise. People are probably going to hate my judgment here, but honestly, I hate laugh tracks so much. So it's very grating on my nerves to watch this stuff. And then you also get 20 minutes into an episode and really you don't get anything until the last 5 minutes. Like, I don't know what story we're getting right here. It's just like Wanda and Vision living in a home together, doing weird shit. And, you know, his boss comes over. Apparently he has a day job. The second episode's a little better. You know, you get a little bit more of their powers and you're kind of starting to see things. Obviously there's some teasers here and there. We got the Rambeau character showing up and she plays someone else. We got the Agnes character who a lot of people think might be Agatha Harkness. A lot of belief, like we said, about Mephisto. I don't know, dude. Honestly, it seems like the best parts are those little cut commercials, right?
Yes.
In
And they
between.
all are something.
They're all something, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, you know, something that we won't spoil. You know, for me, and so I was in the same thing. I was excited because, you know what, it's something new to watch in this environment that we're in. You know, we can't really go to the movie theaters. There's nothing coming out on a weekly basis. But I struggled through the second episode, and I said that in the group chat. I said, I'm struggling through episode 2. I just want. It took me 3 sittings to finish a 25-minute episode,
Right.
because I was just like, I just can't do this. And then the worst is the fact that when you hit pause and you see that it's a 40-minute episode or 35 minutes, and there's 8 minutes of credits, you're hoping that you're like, there's got to be something at the end. There has to be an end credit scene, like to set you up for the next episode. And there's nothing but people's names of what they did. I'm like, this isn't terrible. Are you kidding me? Like, a fourth of the episode is credits. Come on.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Maybe you and I are just too lowbrow for this
I wanted to
genius
change.
television show.
It's
but
early.
it's slow, and it could be a slow burn. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I thought after 2 episodes, I might have a little bit more idea of where this is going. And I know people listening are like, oh, we know exactly where it's going. Don't you know? You know, but no, that's your belief. You don't actually know that. Everyone thinks that these things are going to happen. Everyone believes that it's going to be Mephisto. Everyone believes that these characters are these people, but you don't know that. And nothing's been proven here. Like, oh no, they told you. No, they didn't. They didn't tell you. So I don't know, man. I think it'll get good, but
Yeah, I hope so too, because I really don't want to go through a whole season and it just be like, you know, all right. If the end game is the setting up for Doctor Strange, I just told you that right now on our podcast. I want other things to happen. Like, I want other things to be set up. Like, yes, I want the Monica Rambeau character to be, you know, more ready for Captain Marvel too, because yes, she, you know, Kevin Feige said that her Miss Marvel and Brie Larson's Captain Marvel are all going to be in that movie. So I want to see her grow and figure out what she's going to do and what else is going on.
yeah, I want to see, you know, I think back to characters MCU wise, like Black Panther. He gets introduced in Civil War and then he's set up. Like, I mean, we didn't even get like a ton of background on him. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't get his origin and all that stuff. But as soon as his movie came out, it was like, you're already running. You're just already going with it. And you're right. I hope we get the same thing with Monica Rambeau. I want to be ready for her when she shows up later. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, here she is. Boom. Let's get going. I don't have to get caught up in origin stories and all that crap. You know, and there's a lot of theories like the Doctor Strange stuff. I think I actually read something today that was interesting. I don't know if it's true. Obviously no one does at this point, but the belief is that one of the theories is that maybe Doctor Strange is manipulating this. And it's kind of like he's walking Wanda through the 7 stages of grief, dealing with Vision's death, and that supposedly, like, for lack of a better word, she's in some kind of like, you know, coma, and her powers are affecting the world outside. And the first 2 episodes were, you know, based on denial, and maybe it'll move down the line. I don't know. That could be way too, you know.
You're like a therapist on this podcast, man.
No, dude,
Damn,
I don't know.
bro,
I don't know. That's what I read. That's not me telling you that that's what up, but I thought it was interesting. I was like, oh damn. Okay.
Wow.
But
That's actually really good.
and then obviously the Mephisto stuff. So who knows, dude?
Possibly Omega Red because of the red gum.
Yeah, right.
Not really a spoiler there, folks. It's
So we'll see, man. Like I said, what do we even know how many episodes it is? I guess we should. Like
probably
8, maybe. Yeah.
you know, that's the usual go around. You know, I guess you figure they're going to be in the 70s now. I think in episode 3.
Yeah.
I guess, and then here's I think the reason you and I also, and this is obviously going to show our age, is the reason why we don't like the laugh tracks is because we didn't grow up in that time when all the TV shows were in black and white and had laugh tracks. So for us, it's like, it's kind of annoying to hear.
Oh God, it's the worst. There's only one show I like that has a laugh track, and that's Seinfeld. Like, I can't watch Big Bang Theory. I can't watch even us 90s kids, Full House had a laugh track, didn't it? And all that. Like, I just can't do it, man. Like, honestly, I find it offensive. It's like, you're trying to tell me when to laugh. Like, I will laugh when I fucking want to laugh. Like, I don't need you to encourage me. Like, make your shit funny and I'll laugh. So I don't know. Anyway. So that's our cinematic news for today, I guess. Mm-hmm. We probably just pissed off a lot of people talking shit on WandaVision right there.
Hey, it's all right. We lose some, we gain some. But, we tell it like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not being a Marvel hater. I'm absolutely watching it. It's, the first thing, as soon as I get out of work on Friday, I immediately come home and I watch the episode. Last week, I was actually off from work, so I watched it as soon as I woke up. I popped it right on Disney Plus. I watched the first episode straight through, and like I said, I struggled through episode 2, and it was just, unfortunately, it is what it is. So
right,
it's not going to be for everybody, but again, it's like you said, it's a slow burn. I think it'll come around, and
I think so too.
Everyone's hoping for.
We just don't like it right now.
Yeah.
So okay, moving on before we convince people to never listen to our podcast again. So kind of our last topic we're going to go into here is we're going to talk about books that we're currently reading. And this is something we kind of want to get going and do, weekly, so to speak, have a little segment on this. Justin came up with this idea, and I think it's good because this is a comic book podcast. We want to talk about current comic books, and we want to kind of put you on to stuff that maybe you aren't reading, or to highlight things that you are reading and get you kind of excited about it as well. So we're going to do what both of us are going to talk about, a topic or a comic, and then we're going to do a joint one together. So Justin, how about you go first?
All right. So the first one that I'm choosing, and this is a series that just started last week. It was on a couple top 10 lists, is from Image. It's called Haha. It is, of course, and I just talked about this earlier when we talked, what are we going to be talking about in 2020, at the end of 2021? So here, the synopsis of course, the writer is W. Maxwell Prince. He brings his signature style of one-shot storytelling to the world of clowns, and he's invited some of the comic industry's best artists to join him for the ride. So every issue is pretty much done by different artists, and every issue is a single shot. So it is a genre-jumping, throat-lumping look at the sad, scary, hilarious life of those who get paid to play the fool. But these ain't your typical jokers. And that's the synopsis right on imagecomics.com. So the first issue, I should say, is about this one clown. It's pretty much like a Joker story. Like, it's basically similar story. He's got a family. He's got 2 kids. His wife hates him because he's a clown. Like, that's his job.
He's a clown, that's not who he is. He just is a clown. Yeah.
He's a straight up, Bozo the Clown looking thing. And, he works with other clowns. The whole story is he ends up, getting beat up by another clown. I feel like I've read this or watched this before, right? I feel like it's in a movie. And then the issue completely takes a turn where he goes into a bank. The bank gets robbed. He gets shot. And I'm not going to tell you what happens after that. But let me tell you, I think this first issue was really, really good. And I cannot wait for every issue continuing. And it's something that, unfortunately, I didn't pre-order it. And I'm glad that I was able to find it on a Friday after it came out, because it's a really good series. And I'm stupid because I read Ice Cream Man on a monthly basis. Mm-hmm. I've been reading it since it came out. I get cover A, cover Bs. Sometimes they do these exclusive variants, so I pick up them. But I don't know why I wasn't, and I knew about it. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to get it. I'm like, clowns, it's probably stupid. But after I read it, I was like, thank God I picked it up.
Yeah, I haven't read that. I'm going to have to check that one out. For sure.
So what's your first book?
So I'm going to kind of go with a Marvel book here. It's actually like a little mini series. I'm going to go with Maestro War and Pax. So hopefully you read the Maestro 1 through 5 issues that came out. And as you know, Maestro is kind of like a futuristic bad version of the Hulk. And what's great about this is actually written by the creator of Maestro, Peter David. So if you know Peter David, he's had amazing runs on his Incredible Hulk run is acclaimed. I loved his X Factor run is awesome. I mean, he's been around the comic book game for a very long time. So it's also cool to see a character or see a writer who created the character and to come back and readdress him. So in the first 5 issues, we get kind of like how the Hulk has gotten from his point A at the end of the world to becoming Maestro. He interacts with Hercules, and who actually ends up having the Maestro title, and Hulk kills him and takes it over. So now we got the next little mini series, War and Pax, and it's really about him kind of consolidating his power and who's left in the world. We have Rick Jones out there with Rick Jones has got like this like a assortment of weapons and knickknacks and artifacts from all the heroes in like a bunker when we first see him. And then in the new one, War and Pax, we kind of see also that Maestro is going to end up going and get up against like the pantheon of the Greek, gods. So other Hercules-esque characters. So it's cool. It's futuristic. A lot of people loved Maestro, and, it's just kind of giving a little bit more background into this character. I don't think we saw much of him until like Old Man Logan.
That's right.
Dead Man Logan. We saw more Maestro there, but I think this is considered canon. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm not sure, but it's awesome. It's really great. Peter David is one of the best writers out there, in my opinion. So
cool. And they're only on issue 1 of the new series?
Yeah, so it was 1 through 5 in Maestro, and now we're on Maestro War and Pax, and I believe that might only be 4 issues. I'm not sure though.
Okay. All right. Good. So I can't remember, is our second issue, is this the joint one that we're going to be talking about? Because we both like the series.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites.
All right. So my second choice, and Zach's as well, this is a series that we both talk about on a monthly basis. It's done by Boom Studios. It's called Once and Future. You got the writer Kieran Gillian and the artist Dan Mora. The synopsis right on Boom Studios is: when a group of nationalists use an ancient artifact to bring a villain from Arthurian myth back from the dead to gain power, ex-monster hunter Bridget McGuire escapes her retirement home and pulls her unsuspecting grandson Duncan, a museum curator, into a world of magic and mysticism to defeat a legendary threat. So this was something that when I first read it, I was just like, okay, I thought originally this was only going to be a limited series, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was only going to be 5 issues. And then it just got such a great following that, we're up to issue 15. And, we're not going to spoil it, who's in it. But if you know Arthurian lore, Knights of the Round Table. I was going to say Knights of the Old Republic.
Malik show up.
Yeah, that's who shows up. So you have, the Knights of the Round Table in there. You have some other Arthurian stuff, and it's cool because like when I read it, I end up going back to like Wikipedia and like looking up these characters. I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. And then like,
you can fall down a rabbit hole.
Oh man, and it's a really good run right now. Like I said, there's 15 issues. They've had 2 trades. So this week they just 15 just came out. There's tons of what should I say? Tons of cover A's, cover B's, and then a lot of these issues have gone to multiple printings. And I think issue 1 went up to like 6 or 7 printings, if I'm not mistaken. But it's still, you could still find issue 1 first printing for a very cheap price.
Right. Yeah. So I'm a big reader. I always have been, and Arthurian legend is like my go-to, man. So all you have to tell me is King Arthur, and I'm on board. Like I'll watch, read anything that's King Arthur related. So then add on the fact that Kieran Gillian is the writer. Mm-hmm. He's my favorite writer. He's currently my favorite writer in comic books. I love everything he does, and I was on board. And like Justin said, it is very Arthurian and Knights of the Round Table esque. But it kind of isn't also like it's not just stuck on Arthurian legend. There is a lot of other things, and they bring in all kinds of stories. And that's really what the story is about creatures and myths and stories coming into our world. And it's cool. And it's funny too. The dynamic between the grandma and the and Duncan is just like, she's like Sarah Connor. Except just like psychotic. She's like a psychotic Sarah Connor and a big bitch too. Like she's constantly like dogging him out. and cock blocking him too with his girlfriend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's awesome, but she's a badass. It's great, dude. It's hilarious. It's funny. The art's awesome.
Yeah, Dan Moore does a great job. All these creatures that he creates, and just the underworld that you see, and the main villains, and then who appears in the second story arc, which was just like awesome. So that is another great read that I feel like everybody should at least try. Go out and get the first trade. It's probably only like $10 or $15.
Oh yeah, go on In Stock Trades, go on DCBS, Tales of Wonder. You can get all those for cheap, man. So yes, you need to be reading Once and Future for sure. You're doing yourself a disservice if you are not reading it.
Yeah, because I agree with you. Gillian's a great writer. He does Die, which I read constantly.
I'm sure Die will be talked about on one of these podcasts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Once that'll be on there soon. Maybe next week it'll be on there, or the week after. But that's obviously he's been doing great things with these indie books.
Oh yeah. Hell, his Vader run was awesome.
Yep. And his early Afro run was awesome too.
Yeah, that was the good part of Afro. For sure. So yeah, man. So I guess that's kind of it for this week. We're looking at about 45 minutes here, so we probably should wrap it up. Anything else?
No, I think we got everything. We covered everything. We want, hopefully you guys are continuing to enjoy the Comic-Con podcast. Again, if you follow us, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Always hit us up with some emails, either at the comicconpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a direct message on Instagram is always nice. And tell your friends, share the page. We and if there's anything you guys want to hear, always, if it's not a question, if you want to send us an article, we'll talk about it. We'll tell you our thoughts, and that's really what the most important thing is. There is also I think we talked about this last week, Zach. There is a YouTube page for the Comic-Con podcast. I think what we're going to start doing is dropping these probably a few days after on the YouTube channel, just to kind of help grow there. And then when we actually start doing live shows, we're going to be, right on our live YouTube page. And we got some artists and writers lined up that I talk to, once or twice a month. We definitely want to get those people. And, again, always want the community involved. So keep sending those messages and emails.
Yeah, please give us topics, because it saves us the trouble of having to come up with shit to talk about every week. So you'd be doing us a favor there, helping us out. So.
All right, guys. So
thanks a lot.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week. Peace out, everybody.
Later.